The bustling city of Cresthaven was alive with the hum of life, cars honking, people rushing, and the faint scent of coffee wafting through the air. Among the towering skyscrapers stood the headquarters of Cresthaven Enterprises, a company known for its innovation and success. At the helm of this empire was a man named Daniel Harper, a name synonymous with power, wealth, and influence. Daniel was the CEO, a man who had built his fortune from the ground up, a self-made billionaire who had everything one could dream of: luxury cars, a penthouse overlooking the city, and a reputation that commanded respect. But beneath the polished exterior of this successful man lay a heart that had grown heavy with the weight of his own success. Daniel had everything, yet he felt nothing. The boardroom meetings, the endless deals, the constant pressure to perform, it had all become a monotonous routine. He had lost touch with the world outside his glass-walled office, a world he once knew so well. One evening, as Daniel sat in his office, staring out at the city lights, he felt a pang of emptiness. He remembered a time when life was simpler, when he worked odd jobs to make ends meet, when he knew the value of a dollar earned through sweat and hard work. He missed those days, the days when he felt alive, connected to the world around him. It was then that an idea struck him, a crazy, impulsive idea that would change his life forever. He decided to step away from his role as CEO, even if just for a while, and return to the roots of his humble beginnings. He would go undercover, take on a job that was far removed from the world of corporate giants, and see life through the eyes of the ordinary man. The next morning, Daniel Harper, the billionaire CEO, walked into a small grocery store on the outskirts of Cresthaven. He had applied for a job as a cashier under the name Dan Harris, a simple man looking for work. The store manager, a kind-hearted man named Mr. Thompson, hired him on the spot. Daniel felt a strange sense of excitement as he put on the store's uniform, a simple blue shirt with a name tag that read Dan. The first few days were uneventful. Daniel worked the cash register, bagged groceries, and interacted with customers. He found joy in the simplicity of the job, in the small conversations he had with people who had no idea who he really was. But it was on the fourth day that something happened, something that would shake him to his core. It was a busy afternoon, and the store was filled with shoppers. Daniel was at the register, scanning items and exchanging pleasantries with customers, when a young boy walked up to his counter. The boy couldn't have been more than 10 years old, with messy hair and clothes that looked like they had seen better days. He placed a few items on the counter: a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and a small packet of cookies. Daniel smiled at the boy. "That'll be $8.50, please." The boy hesitated, his eyes darting to the price display on the register. He dug into his pocket and pulled out a handful of coins, counting them carefully. Daniel watched as the boy's face fell. He was short by $1. I don't have enough," the boy whispered, his voice trembling. Daniel felt a lump form in his throat. He had seen this before, the struggle of making ends meet, the pain of not having enough. But seeing it through the eyes of a child was different. It was raw, unfiltered, and it broke his heart. "Don't worry about it," Daniel said softly, pulling a dollar bill from his own pocket and adding it to the boy's coins. "Here you go." The boy's eyes widened in surprise. "Thank you, sir," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. Daniel bagged the items and handed them to the boy. "Take care, okay?" The boy nodded and hurried out of the store, clutching the bag tightly. Daniel watched him go, his heart heavy with emotion. He couldn't shake the image of the boy's face, the look of desperation mixed with hope. That evening, as Daniel sat in his small apartment, a far cry from his luxurious penthouse, he couldn't stop thinking about the boy. Who was he? Where did he come from? What was his story? Daniel knew he had to find out. The next day, Daniel returned to the store, his mind preoccupied with thoughts of the boy. He kept an eye out for him, hoping he would return. And sure enough, around the same time as the day before, the boy walked into the store. This time, he had a few more coins in his hand, but it was still not enough to cover the cost of the items he wanted to buy. Daniel waved him over to his register. "Hey buddy, how are you today?" The boy looked up at him, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. I'm okay," he said quietly. Daniel scanned the items and once again covered the difference with his own money. As he handed the bag to the boy, he decided to strike up a conversation. "My name's Dan," he said, extending his hand. The boy hesitated for a moment before shaking it. "I'm Tommy." "Nice to meet you, Tommy," Daniel said with a warm smile. "Do you live around here?" Tommy nodded. Yeah, just a few blocks away. Daniel's curiosity grew. Do you come here often? Tommy shrugged. Only when I can. My mom, she's sick. I try to help out as much as I can. Daniel's heart ached at the boy's words. He wanted to know more, but he didn't want to push too hard. That's really brave of you, Tommy. You're a good kid. Tommy gave him a small smile before hurrying out of the store. Daniel watched him go, his mind racing. He knew he had to do something, but he wasn't sure what. Over the next few days, Daniel continued to interact with Tommy, learning more about his life. Tommy's mother was bedridden, unable to work, and they were struggling to make ends meet. Tommy did what he could to help, but it was never enough. Daniel's heart broke a little more each time he saw the boy, his small frame carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. One evening, after his shift at the store, Daniel decided to follow Tommy home. He wanted to see for himself the conditions the boy was living in. He trailed behind at a distance, careful not to be seen. Tommy walked through the narrow streets of a rundown neighborhood, finally stopping at a small, dilapidated house. Daniel's heart sank as he took in the sight, the peeling paint, the broken windows, the overgrown yard. It was a far cry from the world he knew. Daniel stood there for a moment, his mind racing. He knew he had to do something, but he wasn't sure how to help without revealing his true identity. He didn't want Tommy to feel like a charity case, but he also couldn't stand by and do nothing. The next day, Daniel approached Mr. Thompson, the store manager. I've been thinking, he said, about Tommy, the boy who comes in here. Do you know anything about his family? Mr. Thompson sighed. Yeah, poor kid. His mom's been sick for a while now. They're barely getting by. It's a tough situation. Daniel nodded, his mind made up. I want to help them, but I don't want them to know it's me. Is there any way we can do something for them without them knowing where it's coming from? Mr. Thompson thought for a moment. Well, we could set up a fund for them. Maybe tell them they won some kind of store raffle or something. That way, they get the help they need without feeling like they're being pitted. Daniel liked the idea. Let's do it. I'll cover the costs. Just make sure they get what they need. Over the next few weeks, Daniel worked with Mr. Thompson to set up a fund for Tommy and his mother. They arranged for groceries to be delivered to their home, paid for medical bills, and even hired a nurse to help care for Tommy's mother. Tommy was overjoyed, believing it was all a stroke of luck. But as the days went by, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to do more. He had seen firsthand the struggles of the people in this neighborhood, people who worked hard but still couldn't make ends meet. He realized that his wealth and success had blinded him to the realities of the world outside his bubble. One evening, as Daniel sat in his apartment, he made a decision. He would use his wealth and influence to make a real difference, not just for Tommy and his mother, but for the entire community. He would start a foundation to help those in need, to provide them with the resources and support they needed to build a better life. The next day, Daniel returned to Cresthaven Enterprises, ready to put his plan into action. He called a meeting with his top executives and laid out his vision. We've been blessed with success, he said, but with that success comes responsibility. We have the power to make a real difference in the lives of those who are struggling. And that's exactly what we're going to do. The foundation was launched within weeks, with Daniel at the helm. They provided scholarships for underprivileged children, funded community centers, and offered job training programs. Daniel made sure that Tommy and his mother were taken care of, ensuring that Tommy had the opportunity to go to school and pursue his dreams. As the months went by, Daniel felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. He had found a new purpose, one that went beyond the boardroom and the bottom line. He had reconnected with the world, with the people who made it real. And then, one day, as Daniel was walking through the neighborhood where Tommy lived, he saw the boy playing in the park with his friends. Tommy's face lit up when he saw Daniel, and he ran over to him. "Mr. Dan," Tommy exclaimed. "Look at this." He held up a report card, beaming with pride. Daniel took it and saw that Tommy had gotten straight A's. "That's amazing, Tommy," Daniel said, his heart swelling with pride. "I'm so proud of you." Tommy grinned. "Thanks, Mr. Dan. I couldn't have done it without your help." Daniel felt a lump form in his throat. He knelt down to Tommy's level and looked him in the eye. "Tommy, you did this. You worked hard, and you never gave up. That's all you." Tommy's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Mr. Dan, for everything." Daniel pulled the boy into a hug, his own eyes moist with emotion. In that moment, he knew that he had found what he had been searching for all along, a sense of purpose, a connection to the world, and the knowledge that he had made a difference in the life of a child. As he walked away from the park, Daniel felt a sense of peace he had never known before. He had started this journey as a man who had everything but felt nothing. But now he had found something far more valuable, a reason to live, a reason to care, and a reason to keep going. And as he looked up at the sky, he knew that this was just the beginning. There was so much more to do, so many more lives to touch. But for the first time in a long time, Daniel Harper felt truly alive. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.